And a lot of guys worked at KACY when they were starting out. Robert W. Morgan worked there. Bob Eubanks worked there. And so it was really a stepping stone to a bigger station. That's the station that I interviewed Wolfman Jack. Wolfman Jack was one of my favorite all-time disc jockeys.
And that is the voice of radio legend Shotgun Tom Kelly. And last time he shared some wonderful stories on Sinatra, as well as talked about some photos he took years ago that are in his new book, All I Want to Do Is Play the Hits. It includes a color photo of announcer Jerry Bishop. The first show I remember him on was The Crosswits, hosted by Jack Clark, which ran in syndication from 1975 to 1980. And then, of course, later on, he was Judge Judy. I think Tom Murphy was teamed up with him on 1150 KISS AM as the Tom and Jerry Show.
Absolutely.
And
did you ever get to interview him while he was alive?
Jerry Bishop, I did not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I got to interview Tom Murphy last year, and he had some great stories about Jerry Bishop. Not to be confused with the Jerry G. Bishop, who was also in San Diego. Those are two different personalities.
Yes. I know a lot of people do confuse both of them. But, I know. Boy, you are so well informed, Josh. I'm going to take my hat off to you.
Oh, thank you.
Because I got a hat to take off to you. You're doing a great job here, man.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And now after high school, you were hired by a top 40 station. You finally broke into top 40 at a place called KYOS 1480 in Merced. Tell us about how you got to, about the journey there.
First of all, KCBQ was my go-to station early on, but then I discovered Boss Radio. And there was guys on KGB, 136 KGB. And there was like Bill Wade. There was Steve J., who became Jay Stevens later on at KFRC. There was Chuck Cooper and the wide-tracked Woody. And that KGB was another great favorite station of mine. And they had some great jocks on there. And Tom Mall in the morning, he was just great. And, of course, the program director there was Les Turpin. It was Turpentine, and it was just a great radio station. But now, the question you just asked me when I went to KYOS? Okay. Well, first of all, I had to get my FCC license, the first-class FCC license. You went to a radio school to get that because it had nothing to do with announcing. It had everything to do with rules and regulations of the FCC. And, it was boring, and mathematics and all that stuff. And so, there's the second class. It's a rough test. And then there's the first class. And then if you got a first class FCC license, you could get a job at a radio station that was directional. And back in those days, they called it the ticket. If you had a ticket, you had a job. So when I got my first-class FCC license from Ogden's Radio School, it was Ogden's Radio Operational Engineering School. I went to the Huntington Beach location, but a lot of famous guys went to that school, including Johnny Kay, who was my boss at KRIF, But anyway, one of the guys I went to school with at Ogden's, Bob Nutzling, he was program director at KYOS. Again, I'm getting back to your question. KYOS, he had me there doing the night show. And so I was just having a great time. Again, that little station had picture window studios in Merced. And right next door, I'll never forget this, there was a place called Cecil's. And their logo on there was steaks, shakes, and pancakes. Yeah, I know, wild. So anyway, I was there for only about 6 months because I wanted to be a boss jock. How do I get to be a boss jock on an AM station? like KHJ or KGB or KCBQ. KCBQ was never a Boss radio station, but KGB was. So I was hoping to get home. So I went to KACY in Port Hueneme. Now, I wanted to use my real name, Tom Irwin. And Bill Tanner had another idea. I'm sitting in the lobby, waiting to go, meet my boss. And he said, "How you doing, Bobby?" And I go, "No, my name is Tom." "Well, if you're going to work here, you're going to be Bobby, Bobby McAllister." So I hated that name, but I wanted to work. It was a step up from KYOS in Merced. And a lot of guys worked at KACY when they were starting out. Robert W. Morgan worked there. Bob Eubanks worked there. And so it was really a stepping stone to a bigger station. And that's the station that I interviewed Wolfman Jack. You asked some of my favorites. Wolfman Jack was one of my favorite all-time disc jockeys. And then there was another one, the real Don Steele. Those two guys are my all-time favorites, and still to this day are. And, of course, I had the wonderful honor of succeeding my hero, the real Don Steele, at K-Earth. But I got to interview Wolfman Jack at KACY, and I had that on tape, as a matter of fact.
That's great. And have you ever played it on the 60s gold station that you're on?
I haven't. In fact, I got to tell you, you being a radio guy, I had a lot of tapes. And so I had this tape of me interviewing Wolfman Jack for the first time, and I just found it. And, Denny Tedesco, he produced the Wrecking Crew video.
Okay, I've heard about the Wrecking Crew video before.
Oh, yeah, the documentary. Mm-hmm. Well, he asked me, because I got to, after I interviewed Wolf for the first time, went down after I got off the air, and we played pool together. And so we had a relationship. And so I got into working at bigger radio stations. And so Wolfman Jack, Bob Smith, and I became friends. And so it was just wonderful actually having him as a friend. I got an album that I got when I was like 12 or 13 years old. He used to advertise albums, and it was him singing, Mm-hmm. "All right, if you want the Wolfman Jack record album on the Bread record label, send cash, check on money order to Uncle George's Record Shop. And $3 cash check on money. He do that bit, So I mowed 3 lawns. I had my $3, and I sent away for that album. And so I had the album, and I told Wolf when I first met him on the phone. He was at the Carousel nightclub when I was talking to him on Casey, and I said, "Wolf, I got the album." "Oh my goodness, you got the album? Oh, that's terrible. Don't ever play it on the air, man." He hated that album because it was nobody likes themselves when they are first starting out, right, Josh?
Yeah.
I mean, we suck when we're first starting out. So, until we get a little better and get a little more experience, you don't like hearing yourself. I know I don't like hearing myself early on. But anyway, Wolf was the same way. He hated that album, but I got to tell you, I love that album, and I play it to this day just by myself, and I gave it to Denny Tedesco because here's the honor that I just received. Denny is doing a documentary on Wolfman Jack, and he's got Richard Dreyfuss on there. He's got Phil Hendry. He's got Johnny Rivers, and now he has me. They had a camera crew here 2 Saturdays ago. I mean, and it was an extensive shoot. It was like a movie shoot. And in my studio, he interviewed me about my friend Wolfman Jack. And so I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to be on the documentary for Wolfman Jack whenever it comes out, maybe a year or whenever it's going to be coming out.
That's great. I mean, I hope that they get some American Graffiti stars to be part of that documentary as well.
Well, they do. They have Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. Oh, yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Guy on there. He's the one that came in and, hey, are you the Wolfman? No, I'm not the Wolfman. Well, where is the Wolfman? Well, the Wolfman is everywhere. Remember that scene?
I remember that, yeah. It was a great movie. I mean, it's a shame that the diner that it took place, Mel's Diner, is gone. But they've built some replicas over the years in Southern California as well as I think Northern California as well.
Well, Wolfman Jack and I did a show when I was at KCBQ. He was in town and he'd come by and we'd do a show together, And during the record, Josh, I asked him. I said, Wolf, what did George Lucas pay you? How much did you get paid to be in American Graffiti? I was just curious. Mm-hmm. And we had a good relationship. I didn't mind asking him personal questions like that. So he says, well, let me tell you something, Shotgun. Richard Dreyfuss got scale. Harrison Ford got scale. Suzanne Summers got scale. And I got scale. But here's what George Lucas did for all of us. He gave the Wolfman a part of the, a part of the profit. A piece. He gave the Wolfman a piece in the movie, and that made the Wolfman a millionaire.
Wow, and that's called getting on the back end, which they do offer some people. I remember Donald Sutherland when he was cast in Animal House. He was offered to either take, I think, $50,000 or get paid less and get it on the back end. And he said if he had gotten on the back end, he would have made at least $2 or $3 million. But he went for the safe thing.
Well, Dan Tedesco told me after I told him that. He said, we had all the cameras broken down and everything, and Richard Dreyfuss said, out of all the movies I've done, Jaws, all the movies, I've made my most when I did that American Graffiti because he had a piece of the movie. He had a piece of the action.
And we are talking with Shotgun Tom Kelly, and next time we'll discuss his game show that earned him 2 Emmy Awards.